Well, hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to my stream and possibly the final chapter. I don't know for sure, but we're going to find out. It's the chapter working on this guy here. That's the F-35A Lightning. We'll run the intro and we'll find out if we're going to get done today or not. Okay guys, we're back and we're going to continue on the build. And like I said, we might get done today, we might not. It seems like going through looking at all my parts, I seem to be finished with all of the prep work, getting it all done. Of course, putting on our fins and everything last time, that's all done. And she's looking, near complete. It's just like all of my little assemblies just need to be attached. That's what it feels like anyway. And then the plane will be done. So let's change the camera and we'll look at our instructions and go through and see what we need to do, okay? And we'll see what's next on this. All right, so let's flip back in our book. Let's go back to stage 1 and 2. Going back to this, these pages all done with all our cockpit and everything all finished up. All these intakes all done. Decals, yep, putting on the bits on the bottom of the fuselage. Putting on that, putting in the weapons bay, the engines, all of our weapon bay bits. Done, done, done. More weapon bays all attached, everything, fuselage together, bay doors put on, all done. Engine nozzle, okay, so we can do the engine nozzle. Our nozzle's here, all painted and ready. She's got a great big notch, or a great big peg. I'm going to call it a peg, right at the top there. And that's going to slide into that little notch up there, okay? So, it's a nice tight fit. Fits in there nicely. Kind of like this. And it just goes like that. So I'll put some glue on the tip of this so that when we slide in, we're going to slide in nice. Okay. So I'll use this glue. So it's a little hard to get in there with the Tamiya Extra Thin. So we will use the regular Tamiya glue and do that. Yeah. And do the yeah. Gonna do the yeah. So go around this edge here. Here. Trying to be a little careful with it. I don't want to go too crazy with my glue. But you know, with Tamiya and their fit being nice and tight. There we go. Engine nozzle installed, just like that. All right. So that is step 19. Yeah, woohoo! Let's just grab our Sharpie here so we can go through. Remember, I reminded myself to put those decals on, and we did that I did that before already, so that's done. Engine nozzle, finished, okay? Now we had our landing gear, our main gear assembly. Those are done, but we didn't install them yet, so we need to install them. And I think we can do that today. So, flip. Let's put it in the direction that the instructions are showing. Now that it's got the tail fins on there, she sits nice and flat. Now I'd kind of test fit these guys before, and these two big pegs simply go into holes in the side, in the bottom of the fuselage. I showed you guys those holes before. So down in there and down in there, right? Little holes. And so all I really need to do is just take a bunch of glue, slather the glue onto these, and slide them into the holes, and he'll be done. And that's all I really need to do. If I really wanted to, I could put some glue on this little tip. It's going to sit on that little wedge right in there, but I don't think that's necessary. So, doo-ba-doo-boo, doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. Let's do that. And slide them into the holes. There we go. All the way down. Done. Now what we need to do is add A9 and A10. So this side is going to be A9. So let's grab our A sprue. A9 and 10 are here. There's 9. Now let's see. Oops, sorry. How is this going to go on here? It looks like there's another hole. Oh, there's another hole down tucked in here. I just might need to do this. Shove them in there. How does this guy go? Maybe, like this. So you see our little peg there. See the peg? It's not straight. So you want to have that facing forward. So it's going to go in like this. Okay. And then, where does he rest on here? There's a little notch that he sits in, just like that. Wow, that is so awesome. With this guy, I am going to use the extra thin. Actually, I'm not. Not yet, not yet. We're not ready for the extra thin yet. I'm going to pull him back out. Okay, I'm going to use this stuff on the peg. So I can't get down in there with the extra thin. Let's put him back in. There we go. Lined up into his notch. Yay. And a little extra thin right there. And done. I'll just do a little down here just to make sure. And there's one landing gear strut installed. So I'll show you on this one. The little notch that your A9 and A10 go into locks in right there in that spot there. Okay, you guys see that little hole there? That's where it locks in. So let's do the other side. Glue on our big pegs. Put him in the holes, just like that. Grab A10. And I don't mean the plain A10. I don't mean the Warthog. Shove him in there. And fling him around a little bit. Come on, cooperate with me. Fling. There we go, it's locked in. All right, and there's the other side. Okay, so those are installed. Now we have our little bay doors. Okay, so that's step 22 done. done. Alrighty. Step 23, installing our little bay doors. They show how they're supposed to be lined up when they're installed. So let's grab those. That's going to be our A15, 16, 17, those guys, you know. You know those guys. I have these guys back here still sitting on their clips. Okay, so we can fairly easily line them up and see which one is supposed to be which side. That would not be this side. You just pretend, okay, if this was closed, how's that going to go? And that's going to go, and they're going to tuck in down in here. And this little flat panel is going to go tuck in underneath the side there. So there is kind of a little flat area down in here where that's supposed to line up and tuck in. Of course, this always is a bit of a challenge to do these, to tuck them in where they're supposed to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some glue, put it on that flat panel, and then once I got it kind of in there, I'll go in from the side, from the edge, and I'll kind of push up against it so that it's flat against the edge. So put a nice generous amount of glue on that and kind of get it tucked in sort of kind of where it's supposed to go, like this, and go in from this side and kind of push with my tweezers and try and get that flat in there. Sometimes you just got to use something small to get in and push it flat. And now that's flat against the thing. That's flat up against the wall in its little slot, just like that. And you can see it's supposed to be straight up and down like that. Okay, right there. So there we go. That's one side done. Of course, it's Tamiya, so it fit perfectly in there. That's so awesome. I'll do the same with this guy. Put a nice generous amount of glue on that side. And kind of tuck him in like this. Turn them around. And just go in here, press. I seem to accidentally lined it up perfectly. Oh, there we go. I'm going to hold them for a sec. Let the glue do its thing. There we go. And there's that one done. All right, that's another one done. I wonder how many I'm going to get done today. I don't know. We will see. That is step 23 done. They show you here a nice close-up of it, how it's supposed to line up against the wall right in there. Right in there. Anyway, step 24, that's already done. Step 24, of course, is our front landing gear. But I can straighten it up now and glue it in place. Okay, let's do that. So we've got a little shock that lines up right there that gets glued in, and then we can put a little glue on our two tips here. So that they'll stop wanting to rotate. And our gear will stay in place. All right. Okay, let's flip our page. Our nose landing gear bay doors. We already have these assembled. You guys seen the process of putting all this stuff in there, okay? And that is these two guys right here. Okay, so these need to be installed, and of course these are a little narrower at the back and wider at the front. So that's how you can figure out your lefts and your rights. If you're just like me and you just had them sitting off to the side for a while, this is how you can figure it out. So which means this guy is going to go on this side and this guy goes on that side. So let's do this one first. Why not? Doesn't really matter which one's first. So we've got a couple of little holes where our little hooks are going to line up on. And we've got a little block where our little green block is going to line up. So that's just going to easily have us line everything up in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of my orange glue on that little block that it's going to sit on. And for the two little hanger arms, I'll use my extra thin. So let's get this lined up in here. There we go. I think that's where it's going to go. All right, so we're lined up. My arms don't seem to line up to their holes. This one's pretty close, but I've got this line up right on the edge. My green block lines up, but this arm doesn't go all the way down to the hole. And yet we're lined up good. In fact, my arms don't line up at all. There we go. Considering, oh, now it is. Wow, okay. So it actually slides down further than the edge. That is a really solid connection on there. It seems to me you can see when these open up, when they open up, they actually slide down. If I can get this to focus, see how that's slid down past the opening. So it's like you have the curvature of the plane here, and the door opens up, and the door goes like this kind of thing. It goes like that. It's not just a pivot like this. It actually rotates down. Okay, so we got a similar thing going on with this side, where this little block is going to slide down over top of that little block right down in, it's hard to see now, right down in there, right in here where that's pointing. Okay, there's a little block that's going to slide down. So again, a little glue there. Now that I really have a better idea of how these go on, I know that I gotta slide this thing down over. There we go. I have to, more props to Tamiya and how this all fits together so perfectly with no issues at all, that it just lines up and fits. And there we have our landing gear, our nose gear bay doors attached now. And that is, so step 25, the assembly's all done. Okay. Assembly's all done. And we've started on this, so we've got our bay doors installed. I gotta grab B5, and I actually need to paint B5 XF2. I gotta paint it white. I never did paint it. I put the little decal on, or the mask, but I haven't painted it. So I'm gonna paint that real quick. That's sitting here. I need to paint this guy white. I'm going to start with a little surface primer, just because it just covers a little better than just painting it straight with the XF2. I know it's supposed to be gloss, and we'll do that, but it's unfortunate that it's just the way it is. It's kind of weird that they want that center part clear. Usually they want it chrome. That's usually the way it goes. Okay, so we'll leave that. Clean my brush. While that's drying, we've got other parts that need to be assembled here. Let's have a look here. So just put this off to the side for a sec while that's drying. We have our front tire, which I've got sitting on a clip here. Obviously, the two halves went together very simply and painted, and so that's that. And I'm going to need E3. That little arm. Let's find E3. Where's my E? It's this guy here. E3. Bingo. There's that. Okay. Now let's see how he goes on. Okay, so let's grab this. He's gonna go like this. He's gonna go over to the side. He goes into this notch here. But where does it go on the... He goes over to the side. That's weird. Let's see. It looks like he's going to the side. It looks like it goes over here. But that can't be right. Yeah, he goes above this. There's a funny notch right here. Right there's a funny little notch for him. And it goes just like that. Okay, you guys see that? How he goes in that little notch, and then he goes to the side of the wall right above that big rectangular block. Just like that. Now, our little tire can go right there onto our little peg. So I'll use a little of this glue. Give them a little rotate, and there we go. He's done. He fits on nicely, no problem at all. Okay, and then let's grab her that little light. It's been a minute or two, so this will be done. She's dry now. And it looks like that is the last final piece off of this sprue. So it doesn't look like there is any up or down on this. He's just going to go onto that little block. So just slide him over like that and call that done. I want to make sure this is going to hold. There we go. Okay, so obviously I'm going to leave the light, I'm going to leave it masked because we're going to be doing some painting on this guy later on. Okay, so that is step number 26 finished. Step 26 is done. Step 27, this part's done, but this part needs to be done now. Okay, so I got to grab part E11 and E12. These two guys here. Oh, we're going to need E2 also and E1, so all four of these guys. Let's just do this. Okay. All four of these guys here. Let's start with these two. All right. We'll deal with these two. We'll deal with these two in a minute. All right. So you two, we're going to go in at the front here, E11. It's this guy here. So it looks like he's going to go in some funny little angle here. This little peg lining him up. So let's put him aside here. Let's get our plane over here. There's a hole right here. There's a hole right there at the front there, dear Liza. Right there, right there. See that hole right there? Can you see that hole? It's right above that arm. It's right here. Okay? Of course, as soon as I point at it, the camera loses focus. Right there. You see that? Right there. Okay? And so they show that they want to put it on an angle. So figuring out how I'm going to grab onto this so that I can put it on there. Of course, I've got it straight. It's supposed to be at an angle. Trying to put it at an angle, it doesn't want to go in the hole. Are you sure it's supposed to be on an angle? I'm not sure. I'm just trying to do what the instructions show. There we go. Ah, there we go. Just like that. Okay, I'm going to glue this in so it stays. And I'll bring it up to you guys so you can see. So, you can see how I've put that in there now. Okay. And then we got to get E12 is going to go on the back side of our strut here. It's got a little notch there on the top and a little notch there on the bottom. And just going to line up like that. So let's put a little glue on our little blocks here. Try and grab onto this with the tweezers in such a way that we'll be able to just kind of place him on there. Trying to get him lined up is easier said than done. This would be the one thing that I'm struggling with, and how this is going to fit, how this is supposed to fit on here. Because it seems like it doesn't really want to fit. It's the kind of thing that's like, should have put this on the strut a long time ago. Like before the strut was on the plane. Would be my thinking. And I just accidentally got him in the spot he's supposed to be. So there's our little canister thing. It's really hard to tell exactly how he's sitting on there, but you can sort of tell. Alrighty. Okay, so that's this part done. We got to go down to this. There's the same kind of things that you get sticking out on these guys here, but we need to have that on this side, on the front. And that, of course, is E1 and E2. So E1 is the lower one that has a tab sticking off the back of it. So we'll put him on first. Okay. Put him on first because he's got a nice fat tab. A nice fat tab. That tab is supposed to go into that slot right there. Slides in very nicely. just like that. That's where he goes. Okay. And then E2, he's going to go down. He's got a little peg sticking out of him, and he just has to line up at the top there. There is a tiny little thing right there. I'm going to put a little glue on that to make him kind of want to stay there once I place him down on that. This is another thing that's like, I should have done this before putting the tire on. At least with the glue on there already, he kind of is staying where I need him to be. These are always just a little bit delicate. There we go, they're connected. All right, now that I've moved them around, there we go. There's that part. And I'm sorry, I had to get in close and see what I'm doing to get that done on there. And if that wound up being off camera, I apologize. But there we go. Okay. And I don't have them quite proper. They should not crisscross like that. There we go. Okay, so that is done. That is step 27 complete. Of course, we've got this all masked off, but that's going to stay like that for a while. But step 27, done. I realize this is taking a lot more time than I thought. I thought I might be able to get this done today, but I guess not. We have our weapons bay covers. These two are F-33 and 32s. That's these guys. These two here, respectively. Let's grab these. This is 33. This is 32. I thought I'd be, almost done. I thought I might be able to get this done today. But I thought wrong. Installing all these things is taking a lot longer. This is 33. It's a lot longer than I thought, and I don't even have the weapons installed in the weapons base yet. Okay, so they don't tell me left and right. They don't tell me which one is F-32 and 30. Oh yeah, they do. F-32 is your right, and F-33 is the left. So this is 33. Let's move over here. So F-32 is the right, so he's going to go on this side. And where does he go? He's going to go somewhere down on the side here. It looks like two little notches here and here. Maybe line up with these notches. No, can't be. Or does he just, oh, they just places in like that. It just sits in like that. Doink. Okay. Well, isn't that fancy? All right. All right. So those are in. That was easy. A lot easier than I thought. How about these guys? Our central weapons bay covers. So 28 is done. These two guys. So I haven't even assembled these yet. I gotta get these assembled, I think. Are these the right ones? Are these the ones I'm thinking about, or are those these guys? That might be these guys. Yes, that's these two guys. It's my other ones I haven't even assembled yet. Is this right? Am I looking at the right thing? Yes, I am looking at the right thing. Okay. So these are done. The assembly is finished. Flip. So they get installed on the outsides. And so it's just a matter of, how does this apply? How does this go on here? Okay, so this guy is all right. Now they say don't glue it. They're telling me not to glue this in. All we do is shove our pegs in the holes and don't glue them yet. So two big holes, one here and one here. And all we do is shove them in. And they say don't glue, at least not yet. Okay. Fine. No glue. Just shoved in the holes. All right. That's done. Next, we have our central bay cover parts. These two guys. These are two little assemblies. These two guys here. And these are marked. This has a big L and this one's got a big R. Okay. Got these assembled. Oh, those are assembled. That's done. But we're not putting them in yet. We got to grab F50 and F49. This is our infantry, right? Is this my infantry? Yeah. 49 and 50 right here. That's 49. And this is 50. And this is 50. It's 50. Okay. So, oh, these got an R and an L on them too. That is a nice. That is a nice touch. It's nice. Yet it is nice. Yet it is nice. Okay. So this was 50. They got an L and an R, but they don't call it out on the instructions. The L and the R. This is 49. Okay. So they say 49, 49. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, it does have the L. Okay, so 49, they show going in here. And it's a little confusing how it's supposed to go. It looks like it's supposed to go onto this little slot here. Kind of like that, sort of kind of like that, but not quite like that. Like it's supposed to go over top of it. It doesn't really fit that great. It says to go down, but then have this part go around. Almost like they want it to bend. I want you to bend it a little bit. I'm trying to bend it. It's like they want it to tuck into this little area here. But because of the shape of everything, it doesn't really want to tuck. I think I got it in where it's supposed to go. It's kind of a tight little fit in there. They want it to be in front of this bar, but she don't want to go in front of that bar. So as a result, I think I'm just going to wind up gluing it down like that. Just glue it like this. Get it lined up as best as I can, and just leave it like that. I mean, she ain't really going to go anywhere anyway. I can't seem to get it to drop down over top and lock it in. She don't want to lock in. I'm going to do a little trimming. Because I can't get it to lock in, I'm going to trim off a little piece here. Just this little tab here. She just don't want to lock in for me. So I'll lock it in on the front side, but this side I'm just going to have to press down. And just rely on the glue holding it in place. Simply because she won't, she's not cooperating. Just hold on to it for a sec there. Okay, now since I know the problems I'm having there, I'm going to do the same on the other side. And just use my knife and get rid of that little tab there. Cut that off. And grab this one. Where did you go? There you are. Okay, so we will lock you in here, hook you down. This one's a little bit, just ever slightly so much tighter. Slightly so much tighter. That, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, don't get carried away. There we go. So much easier when you know what you got to do and what you're dealing with. All right. So those are in. Now we can slide our little guys in here. These two guys. They're going to slide into the slots underneath of them. And so we do lefts and rights. So we turn this way, and our right, this one, is going to slide in here. So I might as well preemptively put some glue on them. And see if I can grab onto them with my tweezers here. Are you going to be nice and grab on? Okay. And the angle of my tweezers doesn't like that, so let's try this. Now it's becoming a little bit delicate in how I gotta be careful on how I grab onto this thing. Slide that in. In hindsight, dry fitting would have been a good idea. But she fits. I gotta be careful here. Be careful where I press now. There we go. So now we're getting an idea of why we're not gluing this part in yet. Because this should line up and be right up against this guy. That's quite the ingenious, and I'm going to have to pull that down for that to line up. That's quite the little sandwich we've made. Slides in nice. And again, this is going to have to get pulled down to line up to our little arms. I think what I'll do is put a couple of little clamps on them, and then I can glue them. Clamps like these little guys, we'll just kind of go boink like this. And do the glue thing. I could use one of these clamps, I think. Nah, I don't like that one. How about you? You're kind of big, but you'll get the job done. I'm gonna have to glue and then clamp. Glue and then clamp. There we go. Okay, so we're going to leave that. I think I could probably glue these now, glue those pegs in, but I think it's good enough. They're already solidly in the kit. So yeah, so that's done. Okay, step 32 finished. So this whole page done and done and done. Flip. Bombs. Yeah. Yeah, bombs. Okay, this is gonna, I gotta go. So we're gonna have to do our weapons next time. And also we'll get to doing these guys. Actually, before I go, let's do one of these, okay? We'll let the plane dry and we'll work on one of these guys first, okay? So let's get this guy here. I gotta grab one of these. Let's go with this one here, okay? F-16, okay? And with F-16, we gotta put all these guys in here. F1, 3, 6, and 7. F1, 3. This is 1. That's 3. We want 6, which happens to be over here. Okay, 6. And then 7. We're back on this side again. Okay. Now these are similar to those other ones where this is going to slide up into its own little notch on the panel. So like this guy has this little tab here and he's going to slide up in behind like this. He's going to have his own little channel for him to lock into on here like this, so that you can glue him in and he's going to be flat like on this side. Okay, so we'll start with him. This is the F1. I'm just going to hold him like this and put a little glue in there. And now I can press him down. This side is not really going to be seen, so you can slather glue on there. You can get fingerprints, whatever. You just want this to be nice and flat. Okay, I'll hold that for a second, and now the glue's holding it. All right, so with that, and of course from this side, it just looks cool. It looks like that. Okay, so let's get these done. This is 6, which means this is F3. I've got to get all of my little nubs clean on these, because once you've put it on there, suddenly your nubs are a big issue. This is 3. This is 6. Where'd the nub go? There you are. And then our big guy, our other big guy is number 7. We're going to make a sandwich a little bit later, once this is done. But for now, we're just going to put these in. So F3 is next. Again, just make sure this is flat. Yep, good, she's holding. F3 goes right in here. Just slide that up into its little notch, just like that. Each one has its own unique little shape to lock it in, so if you get mixed up, to me has got your back. Because they've molded each one to only fit in its own specific, unique spot. Even if they do look very similar. Slide up in there. Bingo. Just like that. Again, just give it a little push down to make sure it's flat. Because if you've got this and it's raised up, you're going to have a problem later, because there's a piece that's going to go over top of this and cover this up completely. And you want these all nice and flat and flush on here. Okay. So if you don't have them in there right, they're not going to fit proper. Finally, our F7 goes up in here. Bingo, locks in. Of course, he didn't stay locked, but he will now, because he's got glue on him. Now, if you're like me and you're doing this and you set it down and you don't know, you haven't realized that something has come off and it's not fit properly, and you can always just come back later on and do a little sanding or something like that on this edge and make this a little more smooth if you need to. Because this edge, this side doesn't matter, except of course for this little strip that I had to paint, right? You had to paint along here. But yeah, so there we go. That's this part done. And look at this. We actually have a rod that's supposed to go through here. One of those metal shafts. We got a couple of metal shafts that were in the box here. Do I still have them in here? Yes, I do. So before the glue is completely dried, I'm going to make sure that my little metal rod lines up. I'm supposed to shove it through all of them. So that they should all line up. Yep, I guess they all line up. My little metal rod's gone through all of them, just like that. And of course, it won't go all the way through. It just sits there like that. So yeah, that's going to really add to the alignment. But that is that. So that's step number 36. But this is where I need to leave it for today. Number 36 is done. Okay, so 37. Yeah, see, I marked this off, but all I did was do the decals. I haven't done this yet. So we're not done yet. So, but that's where I need to leave it for today, guys. I'm going to have to get going now. I got stuff to do. I got stuff to clean. I got things to organize. And so I got to go. I mentioned before, I'm not sure when my next stream is going to be. I don't know when my next video is going to be. I've got stuff going on in the background that I need to take care of, and stuff like that. I know eventually it's going to get to a point where I'm not even going to be doing any of this stuff in this same location, as life is changing in a drastic way for me. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching, and please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and check the description box for links to my other things. Thank you for support, guys. Thank you very much. We're almost done. We're getting there. We're getting there. I see the light at the end of the tunnel with this kit. I do. She's almost done. Thanks again, guys, for watching. We'll see you all in the next one.